Of course, if you meet someone and you say, wow, compared to the other, she's almost perfect for me, there might be 5% or something that's not quite a match, but it matters whether or not you can sort of live with it. And if it's an insignificant thing, something that doesn't really make it difficult for you to enjoy your life. I mean, think about ourselves. Sometimes when we're on our own, even we find it hard to live with ourselves, our moods. It's not a nightclub or game show in your own single life every day as well. And sometimes I think we lose sight of how much perfection we put on the other person. Obviously, as you're getting to know somebody, if you're thinking, wow, they're 95% perfect, but that 5%, if it's an obvious deal breaker, like I mentioned with myself, I don't want kids, and if she was perfect until the point I realized she wants kids, that's not a 5% incompatibility. It flips it on its head. It's like not even a 95% incompatibility, that's 100% incompatibility. We need to be realistic. We need to be realistic when we come to the point of like, this is a deal breaker because I cannot live with it. That is what I'm talking about. A real deal breaker is something that you really can't live with, no matter if this person is the closest thing to compatible you'll ever find, ostensibly. But if that one thing that doesn't work for you is something that's going to make your life miserable, then it's not just a small percent. It's flipped on its head. It's 100% no. Well, perhaps another way of looking at it isn't necessarily a deal breaker. It's really, what can't you live with? You, not what does everyone think is a good woman and what everyone thinks is a good life and what everyone thinks is a good diet, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I've been in plenty of situations where I've thought, well, if it wasn't for that one thing, she would have been great. But most of the time it's because of that one thing that they're single or you're single where you're not compatible. It's not a small thing. We can't just go by the numbers and saying there are 20 things that are great, but there was that one thing that was wrong. But that one thing swallows the whole. That one thing ruins everything. If it was a meal, it's like saying, well, aside from the dishwashing detergent that was thrown into the meal, everything else was perfect. Well, that dishwashing detergent ruined the whole meal. So that's another reason why we can't be mathematically looking for these airtight solutions. A lot of them are subjective and aesthetic problems that have to do with you particularly. I've been there, especially as I've gotten older. You come across some woman that you look on the surface and she's attractive, she seems level-headed, and you think, man, I've lucked out. How can she be single? And then once you start talking to them and spending a little bit of time, not only can you realize incompatibilities with you, but virtually you can see why she's single. You can see why it would be very hard for her to be compatible with anybody. You can see how her personality, just her personality, would make it hard for anyone to get along with her. I mean, we need to judge these things on our own. And this is what I want out of these conversations, both for myself and maybe for you guys to have a think about what you want, what works for you. I mean, there's a difference between you or I if we've been continually hooking up for 10 or 20 years and the issues that has with us actually being able to ever commit long-term with anyone compared to someone who's been a serial monogamist like me with very infrequent flings in between, compared to someone who's been married for 10 or 20 years. Each one of those things is conditioned with its own kind of expectations and, what we're used to. Obviously, I'm used to certain things compared to someone who's conditioned through hooking up, someone who's been conditioned through most of their lives being married, and the person that they were with, depending on how they broke up. Did they break up? Did one person pass away? Depending on those factors, then you can make a clearer decision. Do they fit with me or not? Do they have kids? Can I live with that? I mean, even objective deal breakers that most people would agree with, don't try and make an alcoholic single mum stripper into a wife. Still, some guys give it a shot. I can't tell you what to do. At the end of the day, I got to make my choice and you got to make your choice. And whatever choice we end up making, we have to own it. And I think the sad thing is if we don't make any choice, we've still made one. I don't know about you, but I'd rather try and make as many choices with my eyes wide open and as many right choices that I think at the moment, and they could be wrong. They might not work out, especially when it's got to do with people. I mean, you can't control people. You can control technology and things to a certain degree before they break down, but they will stay as they are. But people are very unpredictable, and all you can do is openly communicate to make sure you're on the same page. Because without that, without you communicating with yourself in terms of what you want, what you can and can't live with, and you openly communicate it to someone else with your words in your mouth and conversation, you're relying on this. You're relying on luck. And I don't want that for you or for me. That's what this kind of conversation's about. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video around with somebody if you think it might help them. Join the channel, and I'll catch you on this weekend stream. Bye, guys.